Peaceful vibrations. Thank you for joining me today. If you're joining me, I appreciate you guys. So, never mind me, I'm a little nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous because I go live like almost all the time. But thank you guys for joining me today. So, today we're going to make something that's a pretty simple dish. We're going to make oven roasted potatoes and vegetables if you want to add vegetables to it. It's a very simple dish. It's something that you can add with any kind of dish, other dishes that you want to make. So you can add it with maybe like some sautéed mushrooms if you're a vegan. If you're not a vegan, you can add it maybe with some salmon or some fish of choice. If you're not pescatarian, you can add these potatoes and vegetables with even something like a steak, for example. You can always use this kind of recipe as just kind of a side dish to whatever your main dish is going to be, depending, regardless of however your dietary needs are. So thank you so much for joining me today. Usually, if I'm cooking for people, my hair will be kind of pulled back, but right now it's just me. I'm just relaxing in my house. You see, I got my apron on. It says, "Bitch, I am the secret ingredient." So we're gonna get started in a few. Make sure your vegetables or your potatoes are all washed, pre-cleaned. You can use any type of potatoes or vegetables of choice. What I would suggest is, for me, I got russet potatoes, right? I have little russet potatoes, but I didn't want just russet potatoes because I like my food to be kind of colorful. So I got russet potatoes. I had some little small, little tiny potatoes in the fridge. I forgot what these potatoes were called. I even have yams, sweet potatoes here. If you eat more on the alkaline side, the Dr. Sebi approved side, instead of using regular potatoes, what you can use is a chayote, which is a Mexican squash, which is recommended on Dr. Sebi's list. You can use any other kind of squash. I would recommend the more harder squashes, more so um, than maybe like a zucchini squash, but you can use those as well to do the same thing. I also have here an acorn squash. I kind of cut it earlier because I pre-made the dish, but it's not ready yet. It's still in the oven, but that's okay because I'm gonna have a picture for the final product. Um, and if you want, you can even add something like carrots if you eat carrots, for example. So we're gonna get started. You need a sharp knife because these potatoes and things are not um, they're not they haven't been boiled, so they're not soft, so they're kind of hard. So you want to kind of cut them down. So I have a big old knife right here. You want to kind of cut them down into kind of a squarish or like a pyramid kind of shape. That's kind of how I like to do it. So I cut a few. You kind of want it to be like this. Now, a trick that I would suggest is, as you cut these different vegetables and these starches, as you cut them down, you're going to notice that some of them are different textures. You're going to notice that some of them might be a lot more easier to cut down, like the chayote, and some of them might be a little difficult, like the candy yam. If it's tougher, what I would suggest to do is the one that's tougher, cut it a little bit smaller because it'll bake better and it'll bake better inside of the oven. So I'm gonna cut these down. If you watch any of my cooking videos on YouTube, usually I'll put like some instrumental music and I'll be singing and all of that. Before we get started though, as you guys know, if you already watch me, one thing that I love to do, first of all, before we get started cooking, thank the food. Thank the food. Thank the grains, the potatoes, the vegetables, the meat, whatever you eat. Thank it for being the sacrifice for your nutrition. Okay? and ask it to give you nutrients. You don't have to, but that's just something, a practice that I like to do as much as possible. So I just want to take a second to say thank you to all of these vegetables and starches. Thank you so much for being the sacrifice for my nourishment. Um, Thank you for just being so amazing and feeding the people of the world, feeding the animals, feeding everything that feeds off of it. So now we can get started. That's what I like to do. In addition, I also say you can bring some cilantro, some fresh cilantro that you could chop finely. Or if you have like cilantro seasoning, or like this is parsley seasoning and it's dried, you can also use that as well. If you're another thing that you can use if you're alkaline for this recipe, if you don't want to use sweet potato, you could use a butternut squash. So there's many different things you can tweak this to your liking. It's a relatively quick recipe. It's not very fancy. Pretty simple and delicious. When you use your knife, you want to make sure you kind of hold it around this part as you chop. It gives you better control with your hand and with your wrist when you're chopping. Me, I don't really have a problem so much with skin being on it, but some people don't like skin on it. So you can take off the skins. So I'm chopping up my chayote, which doesn't seem to be very hard. Chayote is very water soluble. It's good for a lot of things. Good for a lot of things. And what you want to have after you chop your vegetables, you want to have a mixing bowl for the next step. So as you chop them, after you chop them, scoop them up, throw them right in your mixing bowl. When you get your oil, what you want to have maybe like 2 tablespoons of oil. I know I suggested olive oil for everybody coming because olive oil is very easy to get. However, I did not have as much olive oil as I thought I had in the house, so I'm actually using grapeseed oil. But you can use any oil of choice. Um I would suggest not really using canola or vegetable if you can, because there's this it's not as healthy or as beneficial. So yeah, as we chop these vegetables down, we could chop it up. Let's talk. How y'all doing tonight? What do you plan to plate your dish with? How has your day been? Usually have music, but I ain't put no music because then they're gonna say, like, I try to put instrumentals, but they try to say, oh, it's not you own the rights to the music. America, you always gotta own something, right? You can't just exist. There always has to be a conqueror mindset. But yeah, so far I've cut a few chayotes and put it in there. But yeah, chop up your vegetables. This will probably take maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Chop them up kind of chunky. And like I said earlier, the ones that are more tougher, like the sweet potato, you want to see the sweet potato's tougher. You want to chop it a little smaller because it'll be easier to cook and cook in a timely fashion more so with the rest of the vegetables. Hmm. I hope you guys really enjoy this dish. It's very simple, very easy peasy. I might actually keep some of the skin on mine. I mean, these are pretty clean, so I don't mind the skin, but if you're not crazy about the skin, just peel the skin off. If you have a peeler, you can use that, or just use your knife and take your time so you don't hurt yourself. Peel the skin off like I'm doing. I cook pretty often, so it's not a big deal for me to peel this like this. But to be on the safe side, of course, use your cutting board. Sorry, y'all. Just want to see something. Okay. Yeah. So the potatoes doesn't have as soft of a texture when I'm cutting it like the chayote does. The chayote is not soft, but it's a softer texture because it's more to me because it's more water soluble than the russet potato. So I'm not cutting the russet potato as small. You see that? Kind of like a pyramid prism shape kind of thing. Or you can cut them square if that's what you prefer. I wonder what you guys gonna pair your dish with. Okay. What kind of veggies are you guys using? I'm big on kind of freehanding and freestyling and kind of tweaking things to your own style. So you don't have to necessarily use every single vegetable that I'm using. You can use vegetables that are more um, pleasing to your taste buds if these are not. I think these are great, but if you want to use carrots, you can use carrots and you throw that in there. Meanwhile, we're cutting. Make sure you preheat your oven. Preheat it at 350 degrees. Yeah. And say if you wanted to make maybe like a vegetable soup with all these vegetables, you can even take this and put it in a blender, these chopped vegetables, put it in a blender, add some water, some seasonings, and puree it. Say, for example, if you wanted to make um like kind of a thick vegetable soup, not as uh not as soupy in the sense of being, let me see, like as brothy. If you wanted something a little thicker, like kind of how thick like a split pea soup would be, you can take these and put them right in a blender with the seasonings. You can puree it. You can make that for a baby that's ready to eat solid food, but that's just starting, doesn't have teeth. Homemade food. You ain't gotta buy Gerber if you don't want to. Save you time and money. Yeah, you see, I'm having a little trouble, but with these ones, the sweet potato, of course, because it's thicker. So I'm making them a little more fine. Let me show you. So they can bake well. So once you chop up as many vegetables as you would like into these prism type of sizes and shapes, I have some over here. That's why I'm reaching over here. I have some over here that I had cut earlier. Once you cut these down and get as many as you would like right now, I have a few. I don't have a whole lot, but I have a good amount, so I'm going to keep cutting some down. What you want to do after that is you want to add your 2 tablespoons of oil to your mixing bowl, but not yet. Not until you have enough. That's the second step, y'all. I wonder if you guys are listening to music at home while you're doing this. I'm used to doing Facebook lives kind of, but not like cooking lives. So this is very new for me. But I appreciate everybody that's hanging in there with me, supporting however you can. And I hope you guys enjoy the dish and give some feedback. Let me know. Be like, girl, I chopped them vegetables too big or too small, or this was perfect. I'm actually I might do I know I did mushroom steak video on how I make like smothered mushroom steaks on my page. But what I'm gonna do, I probably would also do um another type of vegan steak video. You can pair these potatoes with that as well. What's your favorite song? I could sing while I'm cooking. Cutting vegetables, cutting vegetables, cutting vegetables, cutting vegetables, cutting vegetables, cutting vegetables, cutting vegetables. Let me stop being silly. I wish I had a better like camera system or it was more tech savvy because then I can show you guys what I'm doing on the cutting board. So you guys could actually see me. I actually want to get the view where I can angle it so you guys can watch me and watch what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But that's okay because you work with what you got. Now, I couldn't find my dandelion leaf. A lot of times when I cook a style that I personally have, I like to throw herbs in my food, not just the herbs and spices that we use, like pepper and parsley and, salt, not those herbs so much only, but I also like to throw things like um, dandelion root or burdock root, things that are not bitter in taste. If you're going to throw herbs in your food, you don't want something that's bitter in taste. If you put something bitter in taste in your food, it's going to change the overall flavor. Fresh dandelion leaves are very bitter. But if you use dandelion root or dried dandelion leaves, it's not as bitter. So like I'll use the dried dandelion leaves a lot of times as like a seasoning. So I'm still getting the effects of that herb in my food. And dandelion, it's a natural diuretic. So, you take a lot in, you're going to go to the bathroom pretty frequently. However, it's a great source of iron. The iron content in dandelion is pretty high. In addition to it being a great source of iron, it's also a blood cleanser. It's also a blood cleanser. It's also very good for the skin, to cleanse the skin. So let your food be a medicine. A lot of healing properties and a lot of foods and things like that. I plan to do actually a lot more videos on my cooking channel. I have a few up, but I plan to do a lot more on my cooking channel. So hopefully you guys tune in and watch it. Subscribe also. All right, so I may have enough vegetables because I don't need so many because I'm just cooking for me. But if you're cooking for your family or your friends, of course you want to add more. Out of the russet potatoes, I believe I cut up maybe about 2 or 3 russet potatoes. And that's just really for me. That's gonna last like a few days. For the sweet potato, I've really been cutting this one sweet potato up. For the chayote that I used, and it smells so good in here. Oh my gosh, the herbs and spices, the pre-made one, it's in the oven. It smells so good. But anyway, the chayote, I only used one chayote because I'm not making but so much. Oh, didn't cut up my acorn squash. So the acorn squash has a whole lot of seeds in it. You want to kind of gut the seeds out and cut it down. All of this part, you want to eat all of that. You can actually keep the seeds if you want to grow it. You know what I mean? You can actually keep the seeds till later on. If you have, a place where you can grow some of your fruits and vegetables, you can do that with the acorn squash. The acorn squash is a little tough too because it's not boiled. None of them are boiled. We're cooking all of this raw and then we're gonna roast it in the oven. Acorn squash is also great. And if you follow Dr. Sabi's alkaline list, that's actually something from the alkaline list, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that you can use. So you don't have to use all the vegetables that I'm using. Use the ones that go with how you eat. All right. So I'm cutting up this acorn squash. That's going to be the last bit of vegetable that I'm going to cut up. Not adding any carrot or anything today, but I think it's plenty of great vegetables that are here. Okay. Bam, bam, bam. And because the acorn squash is a little tough, y'all remember what I said about the vegetables that's a little more tough? Cut them a little more fine. Not fine, but cut them a little smaller than the other veggies that you're cutting up. So it can cook around the same speed. You don't have the other vegetables well done. And then the harder vegetables still aren't, are partially cooked. It's still hard. You don't want that. You don't want the inconsistency of texture. You want, it's going to be different textures a little bit, but you want it to balance out. So now I have more than enough veggies. Let me show you guys what I have in my mixing bowl. That's a lot, right? Plenty of veggies. Next step, what you're going to do, 2 tablespoons of oil. You're going to put this 2 tablespoons of oil inside of your mixing bowl with your chopped veggies and potatoes. You want to put it in there, and you actually can use like a spoon or something. Matter of fact, before you even do all of that, add your seasonings. So I mentioned onion powder. I'm gonna be a little heavy with the onion powder because I kind of like onion powder. I'm partial to the flavor of onion powder, but if that's not really your thing, you can do good with maybe about 1.5 tablespoons or 2 tablespoons. You don't always need a lot of the fancy seasonings. You can use a lot of very basic, simple seasonings and make your food taste delicious. I'm gonna use a little sea salt. I'm probably gonna use about 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna use my measuring spoon. If you have challenges with salt, of course, I'm gonna use 1/2 tablespoon because that sounds like a lot. If you have challenges with salt, you don't have to use sea salt. You can use a sea vegetable that has a similar to a salty taste like dulse or kelp. Sprinkle it all. I use 1/2 teaspoon. I have garlic powder. If you're alkaline, of course, you don't eat garlic powder. But if you're not, feel free to use it. I'm going to use like 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I don't know, not even 1/2 teaspoon, half of a teaspoon, because I don't need that much. And then black pepper. Where's my black peppercorn? I just had it too. Somewhere around here. My seasonings like to hide sometime, which is so funny to me. But hold on. I have this. Sorry, my light. The camera's not very bright for my computer, so I'm trying to get the lighting better. Okay, y'all. Hold on. There we go. There we go. So this is a combination. It has black peppercorn, but I'm looking for my black peppercorn. I don't want the whole ones. The whole ones are over there. Let's see. Got so many seasons in my cabinet, y'all. Here we go. Use the black peppercorn. If you don't want to use black peppercorn, you could use cayenne pepper. That's also alkaline friendly. If you don't want to use cayenne pepper, you could use paprika. If you eat paprika, they all give a little extra spice and bang to it, which you want because you want it to be nice and flavorful and pleasing to your taste buds. Always season to taste because you want to make something that you like to eat. Sorry, my light is over here falling. It's not on a stable thing. We'll be all right though. So I'm going to use some black peppercorn. I'm a little partial to and you don't want to over season everything, by the way, because while it's in there, it's going to absorb the seasoning while it's in the oven. So you don't need to overpower the seasoning, but you want it flavorful. So I'm going to use probably like 1/2 tablespoon. No, about a teaspoon of black peppercorn. Um, and you can use cilantro, dried or fresh. Fresh is the best, of course, because it has a certain flavor to it. Or you can use a dried seasoning, which I'm using parsley. This from the dollar store, y'all. Y'all could get that. Put a little sprinkle. Bum, 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 bum. Parsley, 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 parsley. Bum, 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 bum. I remember I had a friend in college named Jessica, and we had a potluck. And I'll never forget, Jessica, if you on here, Mofield, if you on here and you see me, I never forgot what you said when we was having our potluck. You was like, parsley always make everything look pretty. And I never forgot that. I just found that so funny to me. All right, now we need a spoon. We're going to take a mixing spoon or a regular spoon, or you can use one of these little small spatulas like this. And you want to mix this well. You want to coat all the vegetables, the potatoes, well in the oil. Coat it well in the oil so that the seasoning sticks on it. So I'm just mixing it down, coating it well in the oil, as you guys can see. Coating it well, coating it well, coating it and coating it and coating it well, coating it and coating it and coating it well. I'm a little crazy, y'all. Don't mind me. Y'all remember that from LL Cool J, right? Doing it, that song, Doing It. Oh, we coating it. We doing it. We coating it. We coating these vegetables well. This looks so beautiful and it smells amazing. This little bit of seasoning. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. You're beautiful. I just want you to know you're my favorite vegetable. All right. So after we coat it well, you want to use a baking pan, a baking dish like this. You can get this at the dollar store. You can get something of better quality if that's what you can afford. Or if you don't have that, you can use parchment paper and put it on a cookie sheet. Put the vegetables on there and bake it in the oven. Your oven should be already preheated. Know your oven. If you have an oven that bakes very fast, put it a little bit, a little bit lower. If you have an oven that bakes really slow, put it higher. Y'all already know. So I'm gonna put mine on 400, and I'm going to bake it for about, let me see. Maybe I'm going to check on it again in about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes. Probably won't be cooked till about 45. The most it should take is an hour. But check on it periodically once it gets to about the 30-minute mark. Check on it. You want them to look a little golden brown or a little bit, you know what I mean? Have that cooked look to it. Don't burn it. I'm just adding like the rest of the oil and seasoning in there. This looks so beautiful, you guys. Yeah, so you want it to be a little brown at the top, a little crispy looking. Taste it to make sure that it's the desired texture that you want to eat. You don't want to take it out and it's too soon and it's a little too hard. You want the vegetables to kind of soften up some. So, thank you, vegetables and starches and all this beautiful stuff. We actually need starches despite what people say. You need complex starches, really. Not so much simple starches as much. But, you know, that, all of that's debatable. We ain't getting into all of that. Look how beautiful this looks in the pan, you guys. Y'all see it? Bam, bam, bam. So we're going to put this in the oven. Hold on. Let me put on my matching oven mitt. See what it say? Y'all can see it? Bitch, I am the secret ingredient. So we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to bake it. My oven has been preheating already because I already pre-made the dish so I could show you more of a finished product. I didn't use as many vegetables, but you guys see? Can you guys see? Oh, I need to take a picture and post it for you guys. Hot, 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 hot. Ah! Here we go. You see how it has more of a golden brown color at the top? I'm gonna, let me see. Oh, I wonder if I can pick it up with something so you guys can kind of see. It smells so good, so good. Again, you compare this with any kind of dish that you want, whether you're vegan, whether you're not vegan. This is something that everyone can do. I want you guys to kind of see the brownness of it. Let's see if my camera can do it well. Hold on. You can't really see it that well with this camera, but that's okay. We did the best that we could with the camera. So I hope you guys enjoy cooking with me today. I don't usually do lives. I usually like to pre-do it all and then post it. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Try it. Let me know if you like it. If you want to follow my YouTube page, it's called the Veggiegasm Cooking Channel, as my book is called the Veggiegasm Cookbook. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you hit the bell where it says subscribe, that's how you'll get notified every time I put a new video up. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let me know feedback on whether you like this dish or not. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. Let me know if you guys like it. If you had any challenges with it, if you tweaked it a little bit and made it a little more spicy to your liking, to your style, let me know. You know what I mean? Maybe you added peppers to it. Maybe you added carrots to it. Maybe you added a different type of potato. Let me know. Um, I wanted to use also purple potatoes, but I didn't have any more left in here. I thought I did before we got started. So you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for chilling with me and enjoy. Enjoy. I'm gonna post a picture of it after. Enjoy. Peace.